The Mandela Effect. It's strange, it's spooky, and it's happening to all of us. Have you ever been sure about something, like a famous quote, a brand logo, or even a childhood memory, only to find out that you were wrong? And not just a little wrong, but completely off in a way that feels impossible? Well, get ready to dive into the mysterious world of the Mandela Effect. Let's start with a classic, the iconic Pokemon Pikachu. If you remember him having a black tip at the end of his tail, you're not alone. But guess what? Pikachu has never had a black tip on his tail. How could so many of us remember it wrong? Or how about the Monopoly Man? If you picture him, you might see him sporting a monocle, right? Well, it turns out the Monopoly Man has never worn a monocle. But how did so many of us get this detail wrong? These strange, seemingly impossible discrepancies are part of what's become known as the Mandela Effect, a phenomenon where a group of people remember something one way, only to find out it's completely different. Some believe these are simple memory mistakes, while others think they might hint at something much deeper. Could we be living in a reality where timelines overlap, or even alternate universes are colliding? But don't be fooled. This isn't just about silly details or nostalgia. The Mandela Effect raises questions about the nature of memory, reality, and even the fabric of the universe itself. Could our perceptions of reality be glitching in ways we can't understand? And this is just the beginning. We're only scratching the surface of the Mandela Effect. What's going on? Are our memories faulty, or is there something far more mysterious at play? Let's keep digging, because the truth may be stranger than we think. Let's start by asking a simple question. What is the Mandela Effect? At its core, the Mandela Effect refers to widespread false memories shared by groups of people. These aren't just personal mix-ups. These are memories that feel so vivid, so real, that it's hard to believe they're false. The name comes from a curious phenomenon surrounding Nelson Mandela. Many people distinctly remember him dying in prison in the 1980s. Some recall seeing news reports or hearing about his funeral. But here's the catch. Nelson Mandela didn't die in the 1980s. He was released from prison, became the president of South Africa, and lived until 2013. So how do so many people share this same false memory? What makes the Mandela Effect so fascinating is that it's not just about misremembering random details. It challenges us to think about how memory works, and even the nature of reality itself. How can entire groups of people recall the same wrong thing? Could it be a glitch in our collective consciousness, a psychological phenomenon, or even evidence of parallel universes colliding? In this video, we're going to dive deep into this mystery. We'll start by looking at some of the most famous Mandela Effect examples, then explore the science and theories behind why it happens. Whether it's just a trick of the mind or a clue that reality isn't as stable as we think, the Mandela Effect forces us to question how much we truly know about the world around us, and even ourselves. Let's dive deeper into one of the most mind-bending phenomena of our time, collective false memories. How is it that millions of people can share vivid memories of things that never actually happened? These aren't minor mix-ups. They're details we'd bet money on, only to find out we've been wrong all along. Take the Monopoly Man, for example. Picture him in your mind. You're probably imagining a top hat, a suit, and, most importantly, a monocle, right? Well, here's the twist. He's never worn a monocle, ever. Not in the original game, not in the artwork, nowhere. And yet so many of us are convinced we've seen him with one. Why? Some point to cultural references like Jim Carrey's portrayal of the Monopoly Man in Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. In that scene, Carrey punches a man dressed as the character, complete with a monocle. Could this pop culture image have planted a false memory? Maybe, but even people unfamiliar with the movie still insist on remembering the monocle. It's as if our collective memory has been rewritten. And it's not just Monopoly. These odd misrememberings show up everywhere. Think about the Berenstain Bears. Many of us grew up reading about this lovable bear family, But how do you spell their name? If you said Berenstein with an E, you're not alone. Millions recall the name spelled that way, yet it's always been Berenstain with an A. Seeing it now, the spelling almost feels wrong, as if reality itself has shifted. Or how about Looney Tunes? Did you think it was spelled tunes as in cartoons? It's an easy assumption, but it's always been tunes, a reference to its musical roots. And yet so many of us feel certain we've seen tunes before, written in bold letters across the screen. Then there's the iconic line from Star Wars. If you were to quote Darth Vader, you'd probably say, "Luke, I am your father." After all, it's one of the most famous lines in cinematic history. But here's the catch. In the actual movie, Vader says, "No, I am your father." How could such an iconic moment in pop culture get misremembered by so many people? Even beloved characters like Pikachu aren't safe from this phenomenon. Many of us picture Pikachu with a black-tipped tail, a detail that seems so clear in our minds. But if you go back and look, Pikachu's tail is entirely yellow. No black tip, no stripe, just plain yellow. And then, of course, there's the example that started it all, Nelson Mandela. Many people recall news reports from the 1980s announcing Mandela's death in prison. Some even remember vivid details like funeral coverage. Yet Mandela didn't die in the 80s. He was released from prison, became South Africa's president, and lived until 2013. So, here's the real challenge. How do we explain these shared false memories? Are they the result of cultural confusion, where pop culture references and assumptions create false memories? Or is there something deeper at play, something that challenges how we understand reality itself? Could it be glitches in the way our minds process information? Or perhaps clues to parallel universes, where subtle differences bleed into our reality? Some even suggest these could be the fingerprints of a simulated universe, where minor errors in the code create these inconsistencies. Whatever the explanation, the Mandela Effect shakes the foundation of what we think we know. If even something as iconic as the Monopoly Man's monocle can feel so real when it's completely false, what else about our memories and perceptions might be just slightly off? The Mandela Effect leaves us with a pressing question. Why does it happen? How can so many people confidently share the same false memories? To unravel this mystery, let's dive into the most compelling theories, ranging from psychological quirks to mind-bending possibilities in quantum physics. First, let's consider the role of memory errors. Our brains don't record events like a video camera. Instead, memories are reconstructed each time we recall them, and this process can introduce errors. Details can be influenced by biases, assumptions, or even the context in which we try to remember them. Over time, these small errors can become significant distortions. A phenomenon called confabulation comes into play here. When our brains encounter gaps in memory, they often fill them with plausible but incorrect details. It's not lying, it's just the brain doing its best to make sense of incomplete information. For example, if you grew up hearing Berenstain Bears, your brain might assume the spelling matches common patterns, even though it was never spelled that way. Then there's groupthink. In today's hyper-connected world, shared cultural references can spread misinformation quickly. One person misremembers a detail, others pick it up, and soon it snowballs into a collective false memory. Think of how social media amplifies viral trends. Misremembered details are no exception. But what if the Mandela Effect isn't just a trick of memory? Some theories stretch the boundaries of science itself. For instance, quantum physics has introduced the idea of multiverses, parallel universes where slightly different versions of events occur. Proponents of this theory suggest that the Mandela Effect might be the result of subtle shifts between these universes. Imagine if, for a moment, you existed in a reality where Pikachu did have a black-tipped tail, but somehow you shifted into this one where he doesn't. Another scientific perspective comes from the simulation hypothesis, the idea that reality itself might be a highly advanced computer simulation. If we are living in a simulated world, glitches in the code could explain discrepancies between collective memories and recorded facts. Just like how a video game might glitch or render details differently after an update, perhaps our reality has similar inconsistencies. And then there's the influence of pop culture. Movies, TV shows, and social media have a profound impact on shaping our collective consciousness. Misquotes like, "Luke, I am your father," gain traction because they feel natural, fitting into the rhythm of dialogue better than the actual line. Over time, pop culture reinforcement cements these errors into our memories. The digital age also creates echo chambers where false memories thrive. Online forums, Reddit threads, and social media groups bring together people who share the same misbeliefs. When someone finds others who remember the same thing, it validates their experience, making it feel even more real. What's fascinating is how these explanations, psychological quirks, scientific theories, and cultural influences don't necessarily contradict each other. They might all be part of the puzzle, working together to create the Mandela Effect. Whether it's a trick of the mind, a glitch in the fabric of reality, or a ripple from another universe, one thing is clear. The Mandela Effect forces us to confront the fragile nature of memory and the mysteries of the world around us. The Mandela Effect isn't just a fascinating quirk of memory. It forces us to grapple with a profound and unsettling question. What is reality? If what we vividly remember doesn't align with the facts, does that mean our understanding of reality is incomplete? Could there be more to the story than science can currently explain? One mind-bending possibility is the idea of parallel universes. What if alternate realities exist, where small details like the spelling of a book title, the color of a cartoon character's tail, or the words in a famous movie line are different? Could it be that our memories come from a version of reality that we no longer inhabit? Imagine a universe where Berenstain Bears was the correct spelling, or where Nelson Mandela truly did pass away in the 1980s. If shifts between these realities are possible, then the Mandela Effect might be a clue that our perception of reality is far more fluid than we ever imagined. But even without parallel universes, the Mandela Effect reveals something profound about the nature of reality. It's subjective. While we like to think of reality as an objective, unchanging truth, the Mandela Effect reminds us that each person's experience of the world is unique. What we know is deeply tied to our memories, and when those memories don't align with objective facts, it forces us to confront the unsettling truth that reality may not be as stable or absolute as we'd like to believe. So, where does that leave us? Is the Mandela Effect a sign of glitches in the Matrix, a clue about parallel worlds, or simply a testament to the fallibility of human memory? Whatever the explanation, one thing is certain. The Mandela Effect challenges us to rethink our assumptions about memory, perception, and the very fabric of the world around us. As we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on what the Mandela Effect reveals about ourselves and the world we live in. At its core, the Mandela Effect reminds us just how fallible memory can be. What we believe to be true isn't always a perfect reflection of reality. Our minds reconstruct memories every time we recall them, influenced by psychology, cultural references, and even the people around us. But there's more to this phenomenon than just memory errors. The Mandela Effect challenges us to consider deeper questions about the nature of reality. Is it just a quirk of the human brain, a cultural phenomenon amplified by the digital age? Or could it hint at something even larger, like the existence of parallel universes or the possibility that our reality might not be as solid as we think? Whatever the explanation, the Mandela Effect serves as a humbling reminder. It's proof that our perception of the world, and even our trust in our own memories, is far more complex than we understand. Ultimately, the Mandela Effect keeps us curious. It keeps us questioning. And perhaps that's the most important takeaway. An open mind allows us to explore the mysteries that make life so endlessly fascinating. So, what do you think? Is the Mandela Effect just a psychological trick? Or does it reveal something more extraordinary about the universe? Either way, it's a puzzle that keeps us all wondering, what is reality really? Before we wrap up, we want to hear from you. Have you experienced the Mandela Effect? Maybe there's a memory you're convinced is true, only to find out it's totally different. Or maybe you've got your own theories on why this strange phenomenon happens. Whatever it is, drop your thoughts in the comments. We would love to hear your take. If you're into exploring mind-bending topics like this, make sure to like the video to show your support and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching.